I just wanna say I love you. I'm living in the struggle, and I really wanna hustle, but can't put nothing above you. You up there, you up there. You up there, you up there. You up there, you up there. You up there, and I be feeling like I wanna be on my own. I wanna be in the wrong. I wanna stay in my zone, but you will not leave me alone. I wanna be on my own.
What's up, peeps? How y'all doing today?
I wanna stay in my zone, but you will not leave me alone. Yeah, feel like I'm writing letters to myself. Each time be
Just
like
doing a little bit.
Reminded that I was blinded by no remorse.
Just doing a little bit today. Disrupt Cola in the house. How y'all doing today? What's going on? We live on all the platforms. That's right. We going live. We going live. All the platforms. Keeping it real today. Monday afternoon. Good morning to y'all. How y'all doing? I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Yeah. We just got a little music playing in the background. We just got a little jamming. Let me make sure this ain't too loud. It's my boy Eshawn. I love the dude. That dude be on his grind. I want to hear from y'all though. How y'all doing today? What's going on, peeps? I'm just chilling, right? So we're finna get into this. We finna start hitting this live button all the time because I'm just saying we got some things to do. You know what I'm saying? We got some things to do. Yeah, we live all over the place. I know. So today, I want to talk about a few things on Disrupt Cola. And Disrupt Cola, hashtag Disrupt Cola is a thing I'm doing because I want to disrupt the cola. I want to bring some change. I want to see growth. I want to talk about Black economics. I want to talk about group economics. I want to talk about coming up. I'm tired of what was, and I'm talking about moving forward. I'm talking about doing some things. I'm talking about building on some things. I hope y'all are ready to do this as well. I hope y'all are ready to talk about these things. I hope y'all are ready to get on these things. I mean, because if you are, then I want you to stay right here. And if you ain't, then just keep that moving. You can go on wherever you want to go. Just do what you was doing. Never mind me. Just act like I wasn't even here. Skip past me all day long. You ain't even got to worry about it. But today we're going to talk about a few things. So while we get this going, go ahead and share this out for me. Like and subscribe. Bantucola.com. Bantucola on Facebook at Bantucola. And if you don't know how to spell that is Bantu, like the Bantu nuts. I ain't got no hair, but if you think about them Bantu nuts, Bantu and then Cola, because that's where we're broadcasting out of. The Cola all the way to Panama City is where we focused at primarily, and then to the rest of the world and beyond. So with all that being said, without further ado, let's get into a few things. I'm going to keep some music going in the background. I'll bring that back up in a little bit. But for right now, I really want to get into a little bit of a grind. So let's get into these details. Let's get into these details with today's episode of Disrupt. Right. So the first thing I want to talk about, as you know, we did a great thing this past weekend. Not only y'all did a great thing this weekend, and the person of the hour is Marnie, with the launch of the Busy Bee Mercantile and General Store. That's a mouthful, but that's okay, because if you weren't ready, we now have another Black grocery store in Pensacola. That's right. Fresh Foods Market in the middle of a food desert, right? She brought an oasis of love with healthy foods and vegetables into D5 in the city of Pensacola. So without further ado, I want you all to give her a round of applause. Marnie. I want you to go find the Busy Bee Mercantile and General Store on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I want you to go like that store and share it out so more people know about it, right? Because the more people that know about it, the more people will have visibility to it. And when they see them fresh foods and vegetables, they have a place to go buy them. They have a place to go practice group economics. They have a place to go shop local, right? Without sending your money to Arkansas or South Florida via Publix, right? So Publix and Walmart are the two places that I was talking about. Nothing to hate against them. In fact, you can't get everything at the Busy Bee and Mercantile. So you're probably still going to shop with Publix or Walmart or the grocery outlet or whatever. But I want you to think about your fresh foods. I want you to think about your fresh vegetables and your fruits and your grains. And I want you to go to the Busy Bee and spend some change locally with Marnie. Also, the owner of Asherby Apothecary Tea House, right? All those natural things. So big shouts out to Marnie with moving forward from not only just a tea house, but now she has a grocery store. They're in the same shopping center that's at the corner of 9th and Bars. That's over on the east side of town. For all of you who are on the west side of town, like me, I'm out here chilling on the west side because that's where I always was. But for those of you who are on the east side, it's right in your back door. For those of us on the west side, it's a hop, skip, and jump off of the interstate. 9th and Bars is where you want to go. Spend your hard-earned local dollars and keep them local by shopping at the Busy Bee, Mercantile, and General Store. So that's disruption number one, right? Shout out to Marnie. Go ahead and like that on Facebook. And while you're at it, go ahead and like Bantucola. Wherever you're watching me at right now, there's a couple places, right? So we're on YouTube, we're on YT, we are on Periscope, which will be converting over to Twitter full time here shortly. So if you're checking us out on Periscope, go ahead and like us on Twitter as well at Bantucola. If you're on the book, then we are at Bantucola on the book, the blue book that is, Facebook. So without further ado, let's go ahead and keep this train moving. And I want to get into the next topic of interruption. In fact, before I do that, though, let's go ahead and see what's popping in the chat. That's right. Happy Monday. That's what I'm talking about, because it is a great Monday, right? I mean, it's a little chilly outside, but that's okay, though, right? Because we all, it's January, but it'll be warm again in a couple hours, right? So I mean, we live in Florida. That's just life here in Florida. It's cold 1 minute and then it's hot the next. In fact, it's cool 1 minute and then it's hot the next, as we say in Florida, right? As long as you're not a Florida man showing up on some newscast, then you should be good to go, because them Florida men, them dudes is crazy, right? They do crazy things. But nonetheless, I digress. So without further ado, let's keep the ball moving a little bit. So the next thing I really do want to talk about, besides this thing here that I kind of mentioned, which was, the Busy Bee, because the Busy Bee is on and popping, right? And to clear the air, I just want to make sure, let me say this. The Busy Bee is the second grocery store we have in Pensacola that is Black owned. The first grocery store that we have in Pensacola is McGee Field Groceries, right? That's right next to McGee Field. Go over there and pick up a few things in McGee Field Groceries. I want to shout McGee Field Groceries out because they are around, and I am happy with what they're doing over there. They have a different type of selection than the Busy Bee, and that's a good thing because they complement each other, right? So you can go get things from McGee Field that you can't get at the Busy Bee, and you can get some things at the Busy Bee that you can't get at McGee Field. So if you're on the east side, go over there, check out McGee Field Groceries right next to McGee Field, big white building right next to the field. And then further up the street, actually, is the Busy Bee Mercantile. Go get your fresh your fresh vegetables and fruit from there. And, we're good. Y'all will make me happy by doing that. So without further ado, let's keep the ball rolling. The next thing I actually really want to talk about is this shirt right here, right? So if you can see a little bit of it, it's called Black Economics 101. This is a new brand that's coming out here in Pensacola as well, Black Economics 101. And this brand, this shirt is the Foundations shirt collection, right? And what you see on this shirt is the Adinkra symbol. And the Adinkra symbol, right, what you see in the background here is a symbol that's actually used also pretty much in Kwanzaa for group economics or cooperative economics is kind of what this comes from, right? So it's a symbology that was used in West Africa, and it meant cooperative economics or group economics, right? And that's a focus point that I have had of late and focused on my community and practicing group economics, being intentional about bootstrapping the community, right? Something I learned in marketing, actually. I want to tell a quick story. I was going through a veterans boot camp. Shout out to Bob Foster here locally at UWF. And I was actually working on a project, and I was very intimidated to talk about my project because it was a project called the Urban Beauty Exchange. And the Urban Beauty Exchange was focused. I knew my target market was primarily Black females from the ages of working age, basically from 16 to 21, and then roughly from 25 to 45, right, who had access to the internet. That was my market. But one of the things I learned in marketing was a focus on knowing who your customer is. Who is your customer? You need to know everything about that customer. You need to know their persona, their profile, their age, their likes, their dislikes. Put a name on that customer. Call that customer out when you're thinking about who you are appealing your products to. And the reason why I want to shout out Bob Foster, UWF, and the Veterans Entrepreneurship boot camp that he was hosting is because Bob told me to never be ashamed of targeting a customer, even down to the very specific ethnic group that they are part of, right? And I learned from that boot camp to target and don't be ashamed to talk about that market that you are targeting and putting a name and a face and a profile attached to that customer base, right? That's marketing, right? So when you think about commercials you see on TV, you think about how there are some commercials where you'll just see white people in the commercial. There'll be some commercials you'll see Black people. You'll see the music change. You'll see a different style of commercial in that regard. You might see mixed people in the commercial. You might see a mixed marriage in the commercial. You might see LGBTQ people in the commercial, right? Those commercials are designed that way on purpose because every commercial ain't talking to you. Every commercial ain't for you. I don't know if you know that or not. If you know that, just drop that in the chat and let me know if you knew that every commercial isn't for you, right? When you turn on TV, when you turn on Channel 3 News, when you turn on or excuse me, not news, but when you turn on Channel 3 or Channel 5 or whatever channel you're watching, ABC, NBC, CBS, how many of you know when they show commercials, all those commercials aren't talking to you? Right? They're talking to different groups of people that have been profiled, and they create a very specific commercial to reach and tug on the heartstrings and really the purse strings of a particular persona and person group, right? And that may include you and it may not. It may be a commercial targeting just males, right? It may be a commercial that's targeting females, right? It may be a commercial targeting Black people, and it may be a commercial targeting white people. It may be a commercial targeting other ethnic groups or even other orientations, right? Because we see those commercials and they put people who look like them and who feel like them and who sing music like them. And I'm not talking about one or the other. I'm just talking about you see those commercials, and different commercials speak to different people different ways, right? I say all of that to tell you that story. Going through that boot camp taught me do not be afraid to talk about, explore, and be explicit about the target market and audience that you're going after for a particular product, because your product is not for everybody. And I say all of that to say I'm wearing this shirt as a brand ambassador for Black Economics 101 because it goes with the persona of who Bantucola is pursuing. Bantucola is a Black business directory for Northwest Florida, right? And it is owned by Bantu Directories of America, and we are looking to build other Black business directories in other parts of America, right? But all of that being said, we are focused on Black economics, and being focused on Black economics is a good thing because, well, for one, everybody's always told us to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Well, okay, we're going to work on that, right? And I'm talking to everybody who looks like me, right? On one hand, and everybody else, hey, clap me on, enjoy me on, and be an ally, be a friend, right? Because I have friends from all groups of people, right? I'm a very friendly guy, right? I'm right now representing a brand called Black Economics 101. You can find out more about them on blackeconomics101.com. Go check that out, blackeconomics101.com. There's a focus on the foundations of education. There's proceeds from this brand in particular that is being used to focus on laws and changing laws and educating the community, but also focus on dealing with them laws that are attacking our community, been put in place systematically on purpose. Now, I may lose a few viewers right now. That's okay. But hey, it is what it is. I'm a brand ambassador and I'm actually a co-founder, right? Imagine that. So go check out blackeconomics101.com. Black Economics 101. Shameless plug there, right? Thank you. Thank you, Miss Mariah. I appreciate that. All right. Disrupt Cola, item number 3. Y'all ready? I want to talk about this almost vegan soul food cafe. The story broke today in the P&J. Almost vegan soul food cafe is coming to Pensacola, right? Another black business owner is creating a vegan soul food restaurant. It's going to be downtown and it is going to be nice. It looks nice. They're going to have some music. In fact, it's called the Almost Vegan Soul Food Cafe with 80% vegan and 20% meat menu. Now, the owner of that did that on purpose because he was focused on issues where he wanted to go hang out with the fellas, but being a vegan, right, go watch the Super Bowl or something, right? We're all getting ready, gearing up for the Super Bowl. Everybody cooking their special wings, they baked beans, and all the other things, and I all got something to do with some meat, right? So, with all that being said, right, he wanted a place where he could actually, go and eat and have fun and do all those same things, but also have some vegan dishes available to him. So he's created this experience for those who are vegan, but also in that experience creation, everybody isn't vegan, but you want to go hang out with your friends. So there's some meat on the menu as well that's available to you that's going to be cooked over here to the side. And if you eat meat, hey, it's available to you. And if you're a vegan, man, you have many, many dishes to choose from. So we're excited to see this coming downtown. You can check out the article in the P&J, or you can do a quick Google search on Facebook. It's called the Almost Vegan Soul Cafe. Look for that coming soon, and we can't wait because we're going to add them directly into the Bantucola Black Business Directory and shout them out because, hey, we're winning, and that's the focus point, is to win and practice group economics, which is why I'm here, which is why I'm talking to y'all. And I'm talking about disruption because that's what we need to do. Power never cedes by asking it. It only moves out of the way to something that is stronger than it. If we're intentional about how we spend our money, if we're intentional about where we spend our money and what we're doing and making investments, building wealth generationally, we have the ability to succeed just like every other group. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight. I'm not saying it's going to be, like playing Monopoly, but that's what we have to do to succeed and move the ball forward. Right, right. Mariah says she can't wait to try them. Right. I am excited about it as well because I tell you what, I'm going to go back to the Busy Bee Mercantile. I had I think it was called a vegan wrap. I don't know if it was a vegan or a vegetable wrap, but it had hummus in it and it was vegan, a vegan wrap, vegan hummus wrap on Friday during the grand opening, the Bantucola Black Friday weekend at the Busy Bee Mercantile. And I don't remember the young lady's name, but who created those wraps for us. But just shout out Marnie. Go find them on the website at the Busy Bee Mercantile, and she'll be able to get you hooked up. That wrap was the bomb.com. I'm going to go back to the early 2000s with that, the bomb.com. That vegan and hummus wrap, I will not stop talking about it because that wrap almost made me go completely vegan. I'm like, I can eat this every day, all day. It was that good. All right. Without further ado, let's keep the ball rolling. Right? Because we're just here to disrupt. We're getting in and we're getting out of the way. There's no grand entrance. There's no grand opening. There's no, formal stuff. We're disrupting. And when we disrupt, we just show up and we do stuff. We talk about stuff and we break stuff and we create new things, right? Because that's what disruption is, right? So without further ado, let's keep it balling. All right, next up on the dockets today is HB1. If you live in the state of Florida and you're watching this, you all should be aware of HB1. And I want to talk to you briefly about HB1. HB1 is affectionately known by some of my friends as the Ron DeSantis Protection Act. Protection Act. Most of you know Ron DeSantis is Trump Jr., right? You saw it in all of his political commercial ads when he got elected, blah, 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 right? I'm not here to sing his whistle because I'm not necessarily a fan. But he has promoted this crime protection bill, or this really bill to focus on squashing people exercising their right? And that's what it really is. So DeSantis is attempting through the Florida legislature to criminalize Black power in the state of Florida. The acts such as this takeover, right, acts like what happened at the protest, the George Floyd protest down in on 17th Avenue Bridge here in Pensacola, right? So if you were aware, when everybody was protesting last year, Pensacola was protesting as well. And there was a lot going on down on the Bayfront. The 17th Avenue Bridge, if you're not here locally in Pensacola, is a big crossing area where you go from the city of Pensacola on the mainland of Florida per se, out to the island where Gulf Breeze is, going out towards Pensacola Beach. So you leave the mainland, you go out across a what we call a 3-mile bridge, now newly named the Chappie James Memorial Bridge, and you hop out to island number 1, hop out to island number 2, and then you're out on Pensacola Beach. With all that being said, we did a lot of peaceful protests here, and we were not rioting here, nor was there really any real major rioting. Ooh, I can't even talk right. Rioting in Florida. But DeSantis wanting to squash this rise in Black power and this want to take down this old South memorials that still exist within our city, within our state, right? Introduce this bill that's being introduced by other Republican governors throughout parts of the country to squash Black people rising up, right? And I say this because this bill was introduced and talked about long before January 6th, right? It had nothing to do with what happened with the white supremacist acts at the White House and at the Congress and legislature buildings on January 6th. This bill was in play well before that. So with that being said, this bill has everything to do with squashing people who are oppressed and are exercising their free speech rights. So we're going to be talking more about this in the near future with some of our local organizers, right? We've got a post actually on Bantucola about this right now. If you go check out our newsreel, you'll actually catch that talk. It's a 2100 talk with Jamil Davis. And there is going to be a march coming up. And I want to talk about this march real fast, right? I want to talk about this because I want to just make everybody. I'm looking at the chat. I just caught up with the chat. We got here. Someone said this Satan. I believe it, right? He is literally baby Trump, along with one of our local congressmen. I won't even begin to get into that based on the way they act, right? It's not even, it's the way they act. That's what throws me off. It's the way they act. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. But you know who I'm talking about if you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, with all that being said, I want to talk quickly about this march that's coming up. Let me pull it back up on the screen here. Let me see if I can actually put this on my screen, because it really doesn't matter if y'all see me. I want y'all to see what's actually coming up here locally. Right. So let me find this on the screen here real fast. Let's share my screen. And let's share this tab here. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2. Let's share the entire screen. You know, who cares? Let's just show it all. Right. And I think this is it right here. All right. So we are looking at the March window. Is that showing up on my screen yet? Nope. There we go. All right. Hopefully y'all can see that now. We're looking at the Stop HB1 Defend Black Lives March. That's going to be coming up in Pensacola. It's going to be starting at the MLK Plaza in Pensacola, Plaza to Plaza Ferdinand, right? So that's mid Palafox Street area. I can't remember that cross street. What is that? That's not De Villers. That's uh, 2 blocks south of there. But where the MLK bust is in Pensacola at the top of the parade route, um, the march will gather there and then head down to Plaza Ferdinand, which is south of there, south towards the waterfront. And that's going to be on February 13th from 2 to 5 p.m. So you need to be at the MLK Plaza at 2 o'clock, right? There's going to be some more details coming up about this because we're going to be doing actually a live broadcast the day before, and we're going to have some local uh, leaders to talk about this bill and why you need to be mindful of what's happening because of how it's going to easily criminalize you. If you remember the movie The 13th, right, that talked about how black people were criminalized shortly after Reconstruction, right, when slaves were set free, you had Reconstruction, you had Jim Crow laws come into place, right? The first thing they started to do was create fragrancy laws. To vagrancy law. Excuse me, I said fragrancy. I'm thinking of smell good stuff. I don't know. Vagrancy laws, right? Vagrancy laws focus on actually. Let me get this off screen here since I'm back. I can't even speak straight. Vagrancy laws focus on actually criminalizing black people for loitering, right? That's where loitering laws come from, right? Because we didn't have homes anymore, right? First, we were on plantations and now we're free. Now it's get off my land. Now it's get away from me. You're standing around, you're not doing anything productive. You must be a criminal. Now let me criminalize you. Now we criminalize you and we take away your rights. We put you back on a plantation working as a felon, right? Because felons are really still truly slaves according to the Constitution, right? That's an unfortunate way of viewing it, but that's what our Constitution says. If you're unaware of these things, please go take a look at the Bill of Rights in our Constitution, right? Slavery ended except for those who were incarcerated with felonies, and they could therefore be leased back out, right? We get into convict leasing back out to the plantations, working the chain gang. I say all of that so that you can think about these are the type of laws that this reminds me of. Yeah, the black codes, as Jamil said, right? We get to actually really think about what we're dealing with, right? The black codes here, right? It focused on actually what is happening to my screen. Oh my goodness. I can't stand when stuff like this happens, when tech just breaks on you, right? I should be able to show my posts and talk about all the things. There we go. Those black codes, right? Those black code laws were focused on criminalizing us at all costs. This is what's happening with this law right here, this HB1. The focus of this is to criminalize people gathering to protest, to talk about oppressive manners, to change the system. Why? Because we have Republicans in power. They are losing power. And I'm not a Democrat or Republican thing. Quite honestly, I'm an independent. I hate both parties. I think they're two sides of the same coin. And you will never, ever see me join the Democratic Party and say I'm a woohoo Democrat, or ever again join the Republican Party and say, woohoo, I'm a Republican, and fight for those parties because they don't have my best interests at heart. Not as a black person, not as a Christian, not as anything, right? They don't have my best priorities. They don't have my heart in mind, right? So I choose to be not attached to either party. But that's me, though. With that being said, those who have power, especially in the state of Florida, especially in Northwest Florida, we live in Republican country, right? Florida runs red. We're like Alabama red right now, right? Because of that, we're dealing with scenarios where people don't like to be challenged. And when they don't like to be challenged, they put laws in effect to squash the ability to be challenged. And that's what's happening with HB1. They want to squash any form of rising up by people who will challenge them and have that real ability to challenge them. And this is how they do it. This is where systematic oppression comes in, when people change laws to keep you from being able to take advantage of your rights, your God-given rights. These rights weren't granted to you by the Constitution. These rights were granted to you by God. The Constitution just reflects what God has given to you. And that's why the state is here, to protect those rights, not take them away. Without further ado, HB1 is designed to criminalize anybody who's a part of a protest, right? You think about the protests that happened in Pensacola during George Floyd. They were peaceful. There was a lot of gospel music being played at those protests. There were a lot of blending of races and people groups at those protests, right? There were a lot of hugging and singing and laughter at those protests. There was a lot of camaraderie at those protests. But let one agitator show up, and the police can then arrest everybody at those protests. They can be charged criminally with felons at those protests. They can be denied basic human rights and almost treated like a terrorist because of the one agitator. We know this government has a history of introducing agitators into events that they don't like. You do know that, right? I'm not talking to the wall. Y'all don't think I'm crazy, right? Y'all do know that, right? I hope y'all know that. I see someone here said the redneck river the redneck Riviera is where we're at. And that's been called that since I can remember. Since I was a kid, I remember hearing that, right? It is what it is. So all that being said, there's a protest coming up February 13th. Put that on your calendars. Look out for the posters. It's going to be on Bantucola. It's going to be coming out on our socials as well. Pay attention to that. We need to make sure we have power and we understand what's happening in the legislature, because laws are trying to be changed to keep you from having a voice. All right. All of that being said, let's keep the ball rolling, right? Because if we're just beating a dead horse, then we're not disrupting anything, because the horse is already dead. All right. Next up. I want to talk about Bantucola partners just for a quick second. I want to talk about the partners who are building infrastructure in Northwest Florida from Pensacola to Panama. So the first partnership I want to talk about with Bantucola, I want to talk about Bantucola itself, right? If you don't know, Bantucola.com is the Black business directory for Northwest Florida, right? There are over 300 businesses and assets that are listed between Pensacola and Panama, and we have a slew more that are coming online. So if you are a Black business owner, make sure you get listed in Bantucola. If you belong to a church and you go to Bantucola.com and you don't see your church listed, then add your church. That's an asset to the Black community. And let me be very, very specific. I'm looking for churches specifically that serve the Black community with Black leadership. Everybody in the church ain't going to be Black, right? I understand that. There is no, in all actuality, Black church, white church, Asian church, right? There's one body of Christ in all actuality, right? It just manifests the way it does based on people groups, ethnic groups, where people gather, how people fellowship and associate. The differences in America is that the Black church and the white church were forced apart a long time ago because of America, right? This is America, right? We know that story. We don't have to go into that. With that being said, we are looking for churches that serve the Black community in its fullness, right? With Black elders, right? And that serve the Black community. We are looking for them as assets to the Black community, and we want to list them. I'm aware of a mosque in Pensacola that serves the Black community in Islam, right? So if you are a part of a church or a mosque, make sure your church, your temple is listed. If it's not listed, go ahead and create a listing for it. We'll do a follow up review and we'll post it out and share it out. Have a picture, right? Add it in there. Tell everybody, leave a post, leave a detail about your church, your mosque. It's an asset to the community. All right. Without further ado, let's talk about our partners here real fast. So, the first asset partner I want to talk about is we support Gulf Coast Black Businesses. That is a Facebook group that is a Black business recommends and business support group, right? So the goal with this group is to be a Black business support group and also a recommends group. So if you're looking for, hey, do we have a Black business? Do we have a plumber? Do we have a I'm looking for a photographer. I'm looking for this type of business. I'm looking for a vegan soul food restaurant. I'm looking for a grocery store, right? You can go into We Support. It's lots of people in there, and they will tell you about some of the businesses in the area. They will promote their own business, and they will tell you some great recommends, right? Just like any other recommends group we have in an area, this recommends group, remember the marketing conversation we had, this recommends group is focused on Black businesses, and they are a partner of Bantucola. The second group I want to talk about is the Business Roundtable. The Business Roundtable is a Black business incubation and mentoring group. It is a business mastery 101 level class. It's focused on helping you to build your small business. So if you are a small business owner, if you want to grow your business, maybe it's a hobby right now and you want to formalize that into a small business, then you want to go check out the Business Roundtable on Facebook. Here locally in Pensacola, we meet virtually online every other week or so, and that's our goal, is to develop and incubate small businesses and turn hobbies into legit businesses. Because if you don't have your paperwork in order, when there's grant money, when there's investment money, when there's pitch competition money, if you do not have your paperwork in order, you do not qualify. You will be looked over. When it's time to get a grant, you will be looked over because you don't have your paperwork together. We want to help you get that paperwork together, amongst other things. All right. Next up is the Noor Investment Group. The Noor Investment Group is focused on the creation of generational wealth and wisdom. I'm serious, y'all. We have a Black investment club here in Pensacola. Right now, it is closed. It is not open to new members, but you can find their Facebook page, Noor Investment Club, Noor Investment Group on Facebook. You can find their group, the page, and follow that page. They put out information about investments and stocks and equities and all that kind of stuff publicly. But then inside the group, there is all types of conversations that are happening on a regular basis about this stock or this equity, why we should buy this. And it's a club, right? They contribute money, they learn about stocks and bonds and investing, and they buy securities over time with the expectation that they're going to grow and gain. And not only do they invest in the club, but then all the members are then now learning how to turn around and then buy their own equities. And as they learn to do that, guess what? Now they can teach their families. Now they can teach their children. Now they can focus on building out generational wealth for their family. That's what we need. That's what we want. Right? All right. Next up to bat, the Shop Black pop-up shop. Shout out to Queen Esther, right? Creating awareness and opportunities for Black businesses to shine. Y'all seen about her in the local papers. The last event she hosted was the Shop Black pop-up, which was right at the the small business Saturday, right after Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving. So there was a Shop Black pop-up. It was at Sheila's boutique or event center on Cervantes last November. I don't know when the next one's coming up yet. Hopefully we'll hear some news about that event coming up soon. But the Shop Black pop-up shop takes small Black businesses, brings them together under one roof, and makes it easy for everybody to go find those businesses and shop with those businesses and learn about these local small businesses in our area. All right. Now, two powerhouses in our area as well. The Kakua Institute is an institute where art and history and science and technology converge, right? The Kakua Institute. This is run by Lloyd and Robin Richard. Y'all know them around the community. They host the Pensacola Network. They host the Startups on the Block event. They host so many things in this area, trying to focus on technology and history and STEM. Teach kids, teach adults, programming, focus on science, technology, engineering, and math, right? They have the Charlie Robotics program. They've created a hologram graphic visualization of the blocks. It's kind of a really cool thing they've done in the past, but they're focused on doing these things. Not only that, but with the Startups on the Block platform, they are using that to grow small businesses in this area. Can you imagine being a traditional small business in this area and then roll into a scenario where how do I say this? Roll into a scenario where you have a business idea that you want to venture off into that is innovative. And because it's innovative, you can now be considered not just a traditional small business, but a innovative company. And as an innovative company, you can now qualify for lots of free money and tools and resources that you typically go or see being put aside for technology companies, right? So you see someone's created some new app, some new thing like that, right? Maybe you have an idea of some innovative thing that you're doing that's related to your business, right? You might have a traditional small business here idea that you're doing in Pensacola or Panama or Fort Walton Beach or Navarre, or wherever you are, right? But you have this innovative idea, this thing that you want to do that's revolutionary or science based or technology based, but you don't know where to go, right? Or how to get that off the ground. Startups on the Blocks provides programming and training for those who have ideas and show you how to get that free money. Those free resources and those free tools that are available, especially to black and brown founders on the web right now, right? So I just want to make you aware of that. Startups on the Block. If you go on Facebook, you can find the Kakua Institute. You can go to their website, kakuainstitute.org on the web. You can find out more information about startups on the blocks. All right. Last but not least, a pillar who has been in our community for a while is the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce, led by Brian Wire. Brian was at the Busy Bee groundbreaking opening this past weekend, and Brian has hit the ground running in Pensacola since he's moved back here from South Florida, and he has reimagined the chamber and focused the chamber's resources for growth. He's making in what's the word I'm looking for? Brain dump. I'm talking too much. He's making inroads in so many places, to keep it plain and simple. But the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce is an advocate for the consciousness of the minority and small business community. If you need help, you don't have to be a chamber member to talk to Brian. Go to Brian. Brian is like the hub of many spokes in this area. You can go to the chamber and ask Brian, ask the chamber about some of the resources they have. He may not solve your problem, but he can definitely point you in a direction of those who can solve your problem, right? And all of that being said, become a chamber member because there's perks that go along with that. There's access to things that go along with that. The Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce. Check that out here in Pensacola. There are others in Panama as well. We'll get into that one later. They're not a partner of ours, but our partner right now is the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce. All right. Now, all of those partners, because I'm rambling, all of those partners you can find on bantucola.com/partners, right? bantucola.com/partners with an S. You can find out all the details about them. You can find their direct links and see all that you need to see about those businesses. We support Pensacola. This is a huge part of a growing business in the Black community. That's right, because There are over 8,000 people in that Facebook group, all focused on learning about supporting small Black businesses in this Gulf Coast region. So feel free to check it out. All right. Now, the next disruption in our area that I'm focused on. That's right. I see you, Mariah, liking Startup on the Blocks. That's right. Go check that out. Go check that out. All right. Next disruption. All right. I want to talk about really, this is really a shout out, but it's great because it's a disruption. It's a thing that I see, right? So I want to shout out 3 small Black businesses in the area that I just discovered and found out about since this weekend. The first is B.R. Bonner's Hauling, right? So I'm actually working on replacing my roof because of Hurricane Sally. Some of you are still have blue tarps on your roof. I've got neighbors across the street from me who still have blue tarps on their house, right? So the company that was actually doing that provided the dumpster where all the old shingles went into that they would haul off to the dump is actually a small Black-owned business, right? And I say small, but there's a big dumpster there, right? How small they are, I don't know. They've got a couple different trucks. But in this case, they dropped the dumpster off at my house. I found out it was a Black-owned business. So I added them to the Black Business Directory as a direct courtesy because I was so excited to see that. But it's called Bonner's Hauling. They do landscape, they do yard clearing, they do all kind of things with big trucks, big machinery equipment. So check out Bonner's Hauling. You can go to bantucola.com and search for Bonner's. All right. The next small business I want to shout out that I learned about actually at the Busy Bee Mercantile grand opening is Truly Motivated Cleaning Services. They handle all types of cleaning scenarios with affordable pricing, kitchen, bathrooms, living areas, laundry rooms, bedrooms, offices. They do all of those things, both residential and commercial cleaning. I was able to get a card from one of the from the owner at the Busy Bee Mercantile grand opening, and I was excited to get them listed. And again, you can find them Truly Motivated Cleaning in Bantucola, or you can search for them on the web as well. The last small business I learned about during the grand opening actually is John P. Spears LMT. John Jon P. Spears LMT. And LMT stands for a licensed massage therapist. So I met John. I want to say it was Friday afternoon, late afternoon. So while we were working the grand opening, everybody was out doing their thing. And at the end of the day, I finally got a chance to go inside the Busy Bee and buy my groceries. I brought my $20 to the Busy Bee for the grand opening. The goal was to get a lot of people out there to spend $20 a piece, right? So I met John at the end of the day. He kind of snuck in and was kind of walking around, picking up his things. We kind of, from a conversation that was happening in the room, we got to talking, traded business cards, and I got him now listed John P. Spears, licensed massage therapist, right? So shout out to John. John has been doing massage therapy for a very long time. He handles athletes, he handles individuals. So go check him out on Bantucola. You can search for John P. Spears or LMT, and you'll find him in the directory, and that will lead you to all of his social medias and contact information. All right. So now I've been running my mouth for a very, 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 very long time today, and that's okay because sometimes it's needed, right? We just got to talk, right? Because this is the first time I've done this disruption thing, so we're gonna see how it plays out. So I'm interested in seeing what y'all want to talk about. So drop something in the chat if you're interested in talking about a thing you want to disrupt, right? What's happening in your mind that you're trying to disrupt, right? Drop me a chat about something you're disrupting. But we're going to keep these going, right? Because it's all about disruption. You never know when it's going to happen. It might pop up one day. It'll be 8 o'clock in the morning. It might be 12 noon. It might be 12 midnight, right? Because we're all about disrupting, right? I want to disrupt the cola, and I want to practice group economics intentionally. And I want to focus on growth. I want to grow within my community. I want to support my community and all that they're doing. right? And there's different ways of doing that. And I've just named a few for you thus far, and we'll see how it goes from here. So without further ado, I think I'm going to get on out of here. Maybe play a little music in the background on my way out, but hopefully this was enjoyable for y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. Those of y'all who've hung out with me. Uh, Catrice mentioned Bantucola.com. That's right. It's Bantucola.com. That's the website. That's where you can find all the details for our partners, for these businesses, for all types of things, right? Go to Bantucola.com. We have a news feed of local information. Not only that, but we're also focused on our HBCUs. In fact, I want to put the call out right now to HBCU alumni. If you are a recent graduate of a HBCU, you're probably not as old as me. I have some gray hairs, if you can see. If you are a recent graduate of an HBCU alumni, maybe within the past 10 years or so, right? You're not as old as me. You're not in your 40s yet. And you're interested in hosting a live show weekly, maybe every other week, on HBCU content. I'm talking about sports. I'm talking about scholarship. I'm talking about academics. I'm talking about HBCU life on a regular basis. We want to cover their stories. We want to cover the life. We want to cover the sports, right? Because Pensacola is a little disconnected from Tallahassee, right? That's the closest we have in the state of Florida, right, at FAMU, right? There's actually a small FAMU campus in Crestview. There's a pharmacy campus close by, but the main campus is in Tallahassee, right? And just driving down I-10 to Tallahassee is crazy, right? That first 3 hours of nothing but pine trees, right? Now, there's actually a HBCU closer, if you didn't know. There's Bishop State in Mobile, right, which is actually a HBCU as well. Then you've got Alabama State just north of us, Alabama A&M. Then you go over to Louisiana. You have a bunch right there in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, right, which are about 2 to 3 hours away as well. You've got a couple in Mississippi. You got Jackson State. So there's a region around here, but we want to look at producing a show going live every week, talking about HBCU life. We want to show our youth a path to college and education at HBCU institutions, right? Nothing wrong with all the other institutions, but we want to show life at an HBCU, right? I used to only think of HBCUs at parties as party schools. And I talked to my kids about this, right? This is kind of one of my own shortcomings briefly, but I used to see them only as party schools, right? And I wanted my kids to focus on academics, and I didn't want them to get caught up in the life of party, right? Party. But then I realized, right, there's no difference, right? Y'all remember Jameis Winston, right, at FSU, the quarterback, right, dancing on the tables, right, stealing lobsters from Publix, right? Where was he at? Florida State, PWI, right? And I realized, that made me realize there's no difference. They're all party schools, right? College is a party world. I went into the Navy, so I didn't have a traditional college life. By the time I went to college, I was a family man. I was a dad. I was a father. I wasn't about that life. I went to school to get a degree to make money. I wasn't about college life. But for those of us who are putting kids directly from high school into college, right? Regardless of COVID, we know COVID is kind of changing the game, and the value of college has changed differently. But with that being said, is it possible that we can actually take our smart kids, those who are in that talented 10th of education growth, right? Not that we can't go a different route with trade schools and other things, but those who are going away to college, and send them to HBCUs and keep that talent internal there. And if we do, then how would they know about it if they don't see it? And how would they know about it if they don't experience it? Something other than a football game, right? How would they get that? How would they see an advocate, right, other than a football game, right? Which we don't even see the football games on TV, right? YouTube has been great because it's showcasing the bands at a level we haven't seen in forever, right? Since the early days of the classics. But how do we learn about the academics and the education and the things that those schools specialize if we don't cover them in the news, especially here locally in our market, So let's do that. I'm looking to put together a show on Bantucola TV to focus on HBCUs. So if you're interested in that, come holla at your boy. Get at us in the DMs. Bantucola. If you're on my personal profile, hit me up direct. Otherwise, we're going to be rocking that show here real soon. I've got one co-host already. I'm looking for a couple other co-hosts to make this show a success. I'm looking for some more HBCU alum. So give me a holler whenever you get a sec. All right. What else we got? Yeah. There are any black museums in the area that are listed in Bantucola? Are there any museums? Yes, there are actually. So there's actually two museums. There's the Chappie James Museum, which is a flight school as well, right? That celebrates the life of General Chappie James. And then there's also the African American Heritage Society, which focuses on education through arts and entertainment here in Pensacola as well. Those are the two that I know of right offhand that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of any others. If you're interested in any others, just drop over to bantucola.com and you will have a chance to check that out. Right, I'm looking up at my camera, then I'm looking down at the screen. Looking up at the camera, looking down at the screen. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. I think that's about it for today. Disrupt Cola, hashtag, share it out for me, like and subscribe. Bantucola, at Bantucola on all the feeds. I'm hoping to do this on a regular disruptive level and bring you more news, more information, and more disruption. Because why? Because. Peace.